All right, so this is my guide to the business side of independent game development. So this video is going to be talking about banking, taxes, accounting, and not about how to make money or market your games. There's already a million videos like that on YouTube. So I've been making games since 2013 and self-employed since December 2019. So a little over 5.5 years of fully self-sufficient just from game development. And I have currently 5 commercially successful games on Steam and also on Meta. I have a VR game, and I'm defining commercially successful as they made more than $1,000 a month for a long period of time, like over a year. Some things to note: I'm not a lawyer. If you need legal advice, hire a lawyer. I'm also not a financial advisor, professional, or anything. I'm just self-taught. These are all things that I've just picked up over the years that have worked for me. I'm also USA based, so there's gonna be a lot of USA specific stuff, but hopefully there's some general stuff that'll apply no matter where you live. I'm also a solo dev, so I don't have any employees, no partnership deal or anything like that. I have worked with contractors, but it's always for short periods of time. And yeah, I keep everything low expense and do most everything myself. So I'm not going to be talking about anything related to like having a big studio with lots of employees or anything like that. So let's talk about business types first. So there are 3 business types that I have been: sole proprietor, single member LLC, and LLC with S-Corp election, which is what I am right now. So first off, sole proprietor. This is what I started with. This is what everyone probably starts with. I mean, it's very easy to be a sole proprietor. You just are one automatically as soon as you start selling things. Put a game online that sells a copy, you're a sole proprietor. There's no fees. You don't have to register anything, sign up for anything. It's very easy. You just sell stuff and you're a sole proprietor. Downside is that the main one is that it's very risky. So let's say you got a sound effect off a sound effect library and put it in your game, and then your game got really popular. And then it turns out that that sound effect was actually from like a Disney movie and you didn't know. And then Disney comes and sues you. And because when you're a sole proprietor, you are your business. Like, you are the same entity. Your business is you. So they are suing you directly. And if they, win, they will take all of your stuff, right? They get your house, your life savings, everything, because they're suing you. So it's risky. That's the main downside of sole proprietor. Also, there's no special tax benefits or anything. If you are self-employed, you do have to pay an extra like 15% self-employment tax on your income also. And you do have to do quarterly taxes. So you just pay like every 3 months, you pay an estimated towards whatever you think your final tax owed is going to be. To be honest, I never did this. There is like a fee. It was never enough for me to think it was worth it to do my taxes an extra 3 times a year. But I looked into it recently and found it's actually really easy to do. You just, as long as you do some basic accounting throughout the year, it takes like 5 minutes to go on like irs.gov and just pay it, and then you don't have a fee. So I would recommend paying that. Single member LLC. So LLC, proper business, you have to register and everything. The main reason to do it is to be safe, right? So if that example from before about the sound effect and you get sued, if you're an LLC, well, your business is a separate entity from you. So it's your business being sued, not you. So they win, they take everything from your business, but they can't take anything from you. They won't get your house and life savings or whatever. So you are safe. Your business goes under, but you can always start another one, right? The downside is, of course, that it's a lot more complicated to set up. You have to register things, fill out forms, whatever. And at least where I am in Florida, it's $125 fee, I think, to sign up. Plus there's annual fees. So again, it's like $140 annual report, and then also $50 to have a registered agent. I think you can be your own registered agent, but then your own personal address is going to go public information on your business as the business address, which you don't really want probably. And then also I paid $99 for mail forwarding to go from my agent's location to me, basically. So there's some fees, and then there's no tax benefits, again, just like sole proprietor, and it's same deal. And you also have to do quarterly taxes. Then finally, what I am now, LLC with S-Corp election. I just became one this year. I was supposed to become one last year, but it was too late, my filing. But of course, same benefit of it's safe, but you also get a big benefit of some tax benefits. So you don't have to pay self-employment tax when you're an S-Corp. And also when you pay yourself, you're doing payroll taxes, which I'll get to, and those get to be deducted from your income. So basically, some of your taxes count as a business expense, so you pay a little less in taxes. Downside is that it's a lot more complicated to set up. Same with LLC, you can just have an accountant file it for you. I mean, in my case, I had a lawyer set up my original LLC. I think it was a couple thousand, but it included like a package of some other like legal advice and stuff. And then to become an S-Corp, my accountant did it. So yeah, then complicated to pay yourself also. also. So when you're an LLC or you're sole proprietor, if you have your business bank account and then you have your personal bank account, all you have to do to pay yourself is you just transfer money from your business account to your personal account. But when you're S Corp, you are now an employee to your business. So you have to pay yourself a salary and do payroll taxes and actually file some payroll documents. For me, I just use like an online service for that, which is, you can see down here, $46 a month. Talk about that in a sec. But yeah, you don't want to do it yourself. It's a lot more risky just to have something do it for you. But yeah, you have to pay yourself a reasonable salary. And then on top of that, you can do owner's draw. So this would just be a direct bank transfer. You can do whenever you want, but you cannot do more owner's draw than payroll because then the IRS will audit you. So just keep it under 50% of your income to yourself. And then, yeah, you get tax benefits from that. But yeah, it's annoying. Then, yeah, there's more fees. So you have the same annual fees as an LLC, plus you have to do whatever your payroll software, whatever you're doing that handles payroll. Mine is $46 a month. So we can go here and see like a savings breakdown on taxes. So this is Gusto. This is the site I use for handling payroll. They do have a referral program. I'll put a link in the description. If you use that, I think you get some benefit and I get some money or something if you end up using this for payroll. But let's scroll down here. So here's their example here for sole proprietor. So the example is $100,000 net income, right? And then they show, okay, after you do all your taxes, you get $73,500 about is your after-tax income. Then if you're an S Corp, same deal, 100,000 net income. After tax income, 74,700. So basically you get an extra $1,200 in taxes if your net income was 100,000. Of course, they don't factor in that you're paying an extra like $550 a year to get, you know, your payroll being done. Of course, that is a business expense. So maybe it's just like 400, I guess, on your after tax income, but it's still, okay, you get an extra $800 a year. Of course, that income is also going to increase as you make more money. So if I made 200,000, I'd probably get, you know, like $2,000 higher after tax income. So it's a little more work, a little more annoying, but it's free money at the end of the day. So worth it to do at a certain point. So when should you be which kind of business? Purely up to you, but my recommendation would be when you're starting out, you're just a hobbyist, just be a sole proprietor. It's just not worth it to spend all the time and money on becoming something else until you're making at least, I don't know, 1,000 or 2,000 a year, some like actual reasonable amount of money. Otherwise, it's just a hobby at that point. Then yeah, just become an LLC and stay a single member LLC until you're making at least 100,000 a year, and then consider becoming an S Corp. You can wait longer. I mean, like you saw in the breakdown example, you're not going to save that much money until you get above $100,000. So it's just not worth it to do it before that. And then side tip for saving money for taxes. Also, if you're a sole proprietor, you only need to file business or file taxes as a business owner, whatever, if you're making more than $400 a year. Before that, you don't have to, though you do still have to put your income from it on your taxes as like additional income or something. It's just personal. It's not a business thing though. But yeah, for saving for taxes, if you're an LLC or sole proprietor, set aside 25% of your income each month. Just instantly set it aside, put it in a separate account. Don't touch it. That's not your money. That's for taxes. Don't touch it. Don't use it. And then also set some reminders on your phone for every 3 months to just do your quarterly taxes. Look into how to do it, you know, do some basic accounting so you know how much to do. And yeah, just pay it. It doesn't take that long. Then if you're an S Corp, your taxes are automatically done for quarterly taxes when you do payroll. You pay payroll taxes automatically when you use something like Gusto, right? So you don't have to think about that, but your owners draw that income. You do have to pay personal income tax on that amount. So just set aside like 25%. Keep that in mind for saving for taxes. And I'll talk a little bit more about that in a future slide. So now let's get to banking. So at some point you need to get an actual bank account for your business. For me, I didn't do that until I was making like, I don't know, maybe like $100 a month. Because for a while I was just making all my income from my game dev business was like maybe $10 a month from Steam and like $30 a month YouTube ad revenue. Like it's not that much, and it was pretty easy to write it down, figure it out myself, and just pay taxes on my own through like something like TurboTax or whatever. So I didn't bother getting a business account until I was making a little more. But once you start making more, you're going to want a separate business account if you're a sole proprietor. But for anything else, LLC of any sort, whatever, you have to have a separate bank account just for that because it is its own entity. It does require its own bank account. So there's two types of accounts you can have at a bank. So checkings and savings. So for your checkings account, just use whatever is easy and local. I always just went with whatever my personal bank was. I just went and asked them for a business account. Also, just because it's quick and easy. I mean, if you're paying yourself from your business, it's really easy. If you have the same bank, because a transfer will be instant, like, you're like, okay, I want to pay myself $1,000. You can just go to your business bank account, click transfer, and it'll instantly send to your personal account. If you have a business bank account at some other location, it might take a few days to transfer over. So yeah, it's just simple. And I haven't really seen any like special checkings accounts that are like so amazing for business that it's worth going to another bank for it. I mean, the checking is just a checking account. All it does is send money, right? It's just for receiving and sending money, basically. So for your checking account, just keep more than the minimum to not have a fee. So like Chase, which is what I have, it's like $1,500. I think you have to not have a monthly fee, and then keep enough for any upcoming expenses or payroll, anything like that. So if you bought something on your business credit card, just make sure you have enough to auto pay that. Then savings accounts. So look into high yield savings accounts or money market accounts, you might see them called. And all the money you're setting aside for taxes is going to go in here. And also anything you're not using for your expenses, you can put in here, because right now the interest rates are pretty good. You can find like 3 to 4%. And so yeah, it's free money. Why not? Leave it in there. Like, the money you're saving for taxes, it's not doing anything. So just put it in there and it'll generate some interest. Not a huge amount, but it's free. So why not? So I'm currently using Marcus by Goldman Sachs. Saw them recommended online and I haven't had a bad experience with them. They seem fine. They're quick and easy to use. You can see they give 3.65% annual interest. And then they have this bonus. If you use somebody's referral code, you get like basically an extra 1% for the first 3 months. So yeah, if you use my referral code, I'll put it in the description, then you'll get 4.65% for the first 3 months and then drops to 3.65. If you don't want to use mine, you can just look online and there's all over the Reddit and stuff. You'll find people linking their referral codes, but feel free to shop around and you can find lots of articles, Reddit posts, everything, complete breakdowns of which savings accounts to use and why, what their interest rates are. Like for me, I recently went and had a meeting with some financial advisor at Capital City Bank, and you can't find their numbers online, but they told me that for their money market accounts, they do a flat 4.1% interest. But yeah, interest rates are always changing. So if you really want to get into it, you could constantly move your money around from different accounts. I don't feel like it's worth my time to. I just pick one and stick with it. Yeah, feel free to shop around and pick whatever feels best to you, but always make sure to look for FDIC insured and make sure it's an actual bank. Do not use fintech, something like Wealthfront or Yada. I mean, just look up Yada if you want to know why you should not use fintech. Go for a real bank. Basically, if the bank closes down, they go out of business, something happens, the government will pay you back up to $250,000, and that's per account. So if you have an account with one bank and then an account with another, if you max them both out to $250,000 for whatever reason, then you will get paid out for both of those. Pro tip, you can get financial advice for free at banks. Just make an appointment, show up, and you can talk to them, show your business, your income, expenses, whatever, and they'll give you advice on what you should be doing, tell you how to invest, if you should give yourself a 401k, because you can do that as a business owner. If you're self-employed, there's certain kinds of 401ks you can do for yourself. I was recommended against it, but maybe for your situation, they'd recommend for it. Definitely look into getting an IRA. Great for savings. You don't have to pay taxes on the money you make with those. Index funds, whatever. They'll give you advice on what to do. And you can just go to a few different banks, get appointments for financial advice, and go with whatever you like the best. The reason it's free is because they want you to invest through them. That's how they make money. So yeah, it's a free service. Take advantage of it. All right, credit cards. Always try to buy things with credit cards because you can get points, cash back. It's just, it's free money. Just make sure there's no card fee. Sometimes for things it'll be a no, like 5% fee if you use a card, so don't do it in that case. But for most things, especially any business expense, always use your credit card. And yeah, if you're not sure what cards to use, you can just shop around, there's lots of YouTube videos that do breakdowns on what cards are best. And you can look on the subreddit Churning. They go really into depth on how to maximize, get all the points you can. And so the cards I use for my personal card, I have Chase Sapphire Preferred. It does have an annual fee of $95 a year. That's fine for me though, because I travel a lot and it gives a lot of points for travel fees like hotels and airfare. So I make back the money on that annual fee, no problem. Then for my business card, I just use the basic Chase Inc. Business Unlimited, which has like a 1.5% cash back. I don't really need a fancy business card because most of my expenses are actually from my personal stuff like phone, internet, health insurance. So yeah, most of my money goes on the personal card anyways. And also when I travel, if I need specific travel expenses for my business, like I stay at a hotel, I go to GDC, I pay for the flight, I can do that on my personal card and then reimburse myself from my business account, just pay to my personal account, and it'll still be a business expense and I can get the points benefits of using the personal card. But otherwise, I don't really buy enough with my business. Again, my expenses are low, so I don't really need a fancy card. But I will put referral links to both business and personal Chase cards in the description. If you're interested in them, I get a bunch of points, I think, if you do that. All right, now for legal, just get a lawyer. It's not worth it to look online and be like, oh, is this okay? Was my situation okay? And looking at Reddit posts, just get a lawyer. In my experience, they're like $250 to $300 per hour, which sounds like a lot, but it's actually not that expensive because in my experience, I only ever really need like 1 to 2 hours of legal advice per year, because I'll like email my lawyer a question like, hey, can I do this, or am I safe in this situation? He'll respond. It takes him like 3 minutes, so he bills me for 3 minutes, right? That's it, right? You get a lot of value out of your money, in my experience. And yeah, my lawyer is Zachary Strbeck, and not sponsored. I had good experiences with him. I just found him online by searching like Gamedev lawyer or something, and he came up. He's based in California. Yeah, check him out if you need a lawyer. Yeah, and another thing is, whenever you're working with contractors, you're paying someone to do something, always have a written agreement. Before I had a lawyer, I would just do something basic like, just write something in DMs like, okay, I'm going to pay you to do this, you do this, and then I have complete ownership of the thing you make. Do you agree? And then they would say yes. It's better than nothing, but it's better to have an actual contract written by a lawyer. So yeah, just get a lawyer. It's worth your time. Yeah, so my lawyer has some contract templates I use. I just put in my name, the date, sign it, send it to them. Same thing. They return it, and then, all right, relief. You don't have to worry about anything. Everything's legal, written out, no problem. Now we have accounting. I actually really like accounting. I find it super relaxing. So you want to track everything, business and personal expenses. So just go through all your bank and credit card statements like once or twice a month and write everything down. And I just use spreadsheets. I've heard there are accounting softwares, but I don't think you really need that unless you're like a big business. So yeah, here's my spreadsheet template here. I will put a link to this in the description, and I'm always kind of adjusting and changing things as time goes on. But this is my current one. So I've got some example numbers in here. So like, okay, I have all my sources of income at the top. So like Steam, I have courses on Udemy, sell games through Itch, Patreon, YouTube ad revenue, whatever. Yeah, every place where I make money on the top, and I have the months on the side, get the totals on the bottom, and then the total of everything is here on the right. And I also have a little note here for when I last updated it. So when I'm going through and I'm like, okay, it's been a couple weeks, let me go, do my accounting. Then I just look here and see, okay, August 10th was the last one. So I look at my business account or whatever statements, and then I just find August 10th and I go from there. So yeah, every month then what you do is, let's say Steam paid me $7,000. So I just put 7,000 there, right? And then I didn't do a withdrawal from Itch this month, so I wouldn't put anything there. Let's say I made, I don't know, $90 on Patreon, whatever. So I just fill it out, right? As the month goes by, I fill it out, and then I can see my totals get updated, and it's very satisfying once you get to the end and you fill out the entire year. Also over here, sometimes I fill this out. I just, whatever my savings account interest generates, I just write it here. You don't have to. You'll get a form at the end of the year, 1099 int it's called, that shows, how much you made in interest, but I just like to do it because I'm curious. And then another page down here for business expenses. This is always a work in progress. I'm always trying to figure out the best way to do this, but currently what I'm doing is this, where I have, 4 main columns. First one is cost. So let's say I bought a mouse for $50. So I write $50 there, and I put in, I don't know, PC mouse or something for a description. And then I put in the date. Let's say I bought that on August 20th or something, right? Okay, so, and then the final thing is you need to do the category. So when you file taxes, you have to put the category for each business expense, and your accountant is going to want the category. So in this case, I just put equipment for the category, and I wrote down all the most commonly used categories I use, along with examples of what they'd be like. Okay, Steam store submission fee to put a new game up. That would go under fees and licenses, right? If I need a Steam Deck to playtest some games, right? That would go under equipment, right? And you can find more on, again, on Gusto. They have, this article here on, just a bunch of different types of business expenses. So yeah, but these are the main ones I use. And then of course, finally, there's a total. So how much I spent that entire year, so I can know what my total expenses are, how much I've been spending. Next up, salary and owner's draw. So this is only if you're S Corp. You'd want to keep track of this. Otherwise, you don't really need to track your income. So owner's draw is here. So anytime I send money to myself, I just put it here. And along with the date, when I pay myself a salary, I'd put whatever the net income is, and then whatever I paid in payroll taxes, and also the date. And then one other thing, any extra money that doesn't go towards salary does count as your personal income when you're an S Corp or LLC with S Corp election or whatever. So I just like to have an estimate here of how much I'm going to have to pay on my personal income taxes. In this case, I take all my owner's draw and I just get 25% of that. Then I also take whatever's in my business account. So checkings and savings, I can put them here, get 25% of that, and then I get the total here. And it's like, all right, so for how much I made, I know I need to have this much set aside for paying taxes at the end of the year. Now we get to home expenses. So again, you can see all the standard things at the top, and I do month by month. So rent or mortgage, you have a house, put that whatever monthly fee is here, electricity bill, internet, phone, health insurance, and any charitable donations. I just drop them all here and you'll get the totals at the end. Again, you can also put your savings account interest over here if you want, optional. And then here I put down what my home office size is. So you put the square footage for your house or apartment, and then you want to get an estimate of whatever your office is. You don't have to be exact. I used to just like, when I was in a new apartment, I would just like lay down, and just because I knew how tall I was, so I just kind of make a square around my office area and get an estimate like that. And then finally over here, I have miscellaneous expenses where I just write down everything I think I might be able to count as a business write-off, at least a portion of it. For example, I have a house, so there's an HOA fee, right? So once a year I have to pay that. And I'm like, well, my business is in my house. Maybe the HOA fee can count towards a business expense. So I write it down. Pest control, I had some pest control done, they sprayed for cockroaches or whatever. So, okay, maybe that's my business is in the house, so that applies to the business too. So maybe a portion of it can be written off, right? So I just write down everything that might be able to apply to it, and I'll bring it to the accountant when I go to do taxes. Then I just have a note here reminding myself of what I need to bring when I go see the accountant. So I'll usually just print out these pages and bring them to them. So I need to make sure I organize my expenses by category, and I need to bring my 1099 ins. If you have a house, bring your mortgage end of year statement, income, home expenses, and also just a note to myself, send 1099s to contractors, which I'll explain in a second. All right, back to this. So an accountant, just get an accountant. It makes everything easier. Don't do it yourself through TurboTax. You can find a good local accountant for like, I don't know, $150 for all of your taxes, basically, for like one session for filing your taxes. And do your taxes as early as possible. Like literally just do it in January. You don't have to actually pay until April, whatever it is, mid-April. But yeah, just go right away and get them done as soon as possible, because what has happened to me before is it's like, okay, if I wait till April, then they're going to be super slam booked with all the people coming in to do their taxes, and it'll be hard to get an appointment. And then what can happen is it's like, oh, you forgot this document that you need, and then now I have to go home and get the document and make a new appointment. And then that new appointment, because they're so booked up until April 15th or whenever it is, then they can't actually see you before taxes are due, so you have to file for an extension, and then you end up having to pay a little interest on your taxes, so you have to pay more. And then so just get it done right away, file, know how much you owe, and then you can wait to pay until April, so you don't have to pay right away. So you could leave your money sitting in that savings account and get a little more interest until then. Finally, again, 1099 forms. If you've had contractors and you pay them more than $600 for that year, you need to send them a 1099 form. It's due by the end of January. If you're doing taxes for 2025, it's 2026. You have to send it by the end of January 2026 for anyone you've paid over $600 to in 2025. And then if they're not in the US, you don't have to send a 1099 form. You have to send a W-8 Ben form instead. Pro tip for taxes, get married. You can save a ton of money on taxes. Like, it's actually ridiculous. So here's a calculator here. So for me, I made like $200,000 one year, and I met my wife, or we got married, in December of that year. And she was a student, so she was only working part-time while she finished her master's degree. And then, so I made like 200,000, she made around 20,000, let's see. And you can see the calculator showed, right? And this is not exact, but I did save like around $7,000 in taxes just by getting married. It's actually ridiculous. So yeah, consider getting married. It can save you a lot of money. And yeah, that's it. Any questions, suggestions for corrections or whatever, please leave a comment and help everyone out with their business. And buy my games on Steam.